Morning, Lauren, evening, Grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday. Kicking off the program with Senator John Cornyn from the great state of Texas, one of our best friends in the Senate. Senator Cornyn, welcome back. You folks have had a busy 6 months. What a start, huh?
Yeah, I don't remember anything quite like it. Of course, President Trump, having served one term, I think he's found his groove, to be sure, and he's got a great team, and it's been a very productive 6 months. Not only have we confirmed his cabinet and other key nominees, we're now waiting to do judges, but we've done the one big beautiful bill. We've done a rescissions package. And we were off to the races, and they still have 3.5 years to go.
You know, Senator, you moved Emil Bovee out of the waiting line and got him confirmed this week out of Judiciary and then on the full floor. He was the most controversial of the Trump nominees for a circuit court. Are there any other circuit court appointees waiting? I don't think there are, but I could be wrong.
Well, this last week we had circuit court nominees testify from Maine and also from the Ninth Circuit, California, two incredibly qualified individuals. And, as a recovering lawyer myself, I can appreciate people who are great scholars and great lawyers and people who understand the right judicial philosophy. And these are exemplary nominees, and I'm hoping they'll be voted out of committee and be ready to vote on the floor very soon.
Now, Senator, I'm talking with every senator who comes on about Mike Waltz, the nominee designate, the ambassador designate for the United Nations. We needed him there yesterday and last week. He got voted out of foreign relations. Will he come to the floor this week, do you think?
I'm not sure whether he's in the queue for this week, but I'm a fan of Mike Waltz, and I've known him since he was a congressman from Flagler County, Florida. And I think he's going to do a great job at the United Nations. And Marco Rubio needs a little bit of a break. Marco's wearing a lot of different hats these days, including National Security Advisor, in addition to being Secretary of State. But I'm hopeful we get Mike to the floor soon. I know that Senator Thune, who controls the Senate floor, is in consultation with the White House about their priorities. As I said, I hope we confirm him soon.
I've been following the Israel story every single day. I know you're a big supporter of the Jewish state. Do you expect that the food aid that is flowing in there will quiet the controversy around Gaza now and allow the IDF to finish its work?
Well, the blame for the humanitarian crisis occurring in Gaza is squarely on the shoulders of Hamas. They're the ones who still hold hostages. They're the ones who killed innocent Israelis back on October the 7th. And they refused to allow these food supplies to make their way to the Palestinians who presumably they are supportive of. And there's a lot of food aid that's sitting there that the United Nations is not distributing because Hamas says we won't allow you to do that unless we're the ones to control it. And then, of course, they will end up stealing it or diverting it for other purposes. So this is a real problem, but it's not Israel's problem. Israel's done its part. Israel's the victim here, not the antagonist. It's Hamas that's responsible. And I hope that logjam of that food can get broken soon and get it delivered to the people who obviously need it.
Now, I know Hamas is the real enemy. The UN is a culprit. That's one of the reasons I want Waltz up there, is to hold them accountable and also to be in the Security Council to veto the motions condemning Israel that are going to follow like night follows day from our allies, in quotes, in France and Britain and Australia and Canada, who are turning the screws on Israel. I cannot understand it. You've been around this debate for a long time. Why are our allies going south on this, Senator?
Well, I think a lot of this stuff is made personal, and a lot of the animosity is directed at Bibi Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, and of course leads a coalition government. And I would say the actions Israel's been taking have not been the action of one man, but a consensus decision made by the war cabinet and by the leadership of Israel. But you have to understand, and I know you do, but Israel is fighting for its very right to exist against Iran and its proxies. Iran's now back on its heels a little bit, thanks to President Trump and his willingness to do what no other president has been willing to do, which is to obliterate their nuclear weapons capability, or at least set it back by years. But I don't know whether this is remnants of anti-Semitism that Israel has always had to deal with, or what. But I do know that there are people like this nominee for mayor in New York, who apparently is very much pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. But I think we need to continue to stay solidly behind Israel. They are our most important ally in the Middle East, and they are the ones keeping Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, in check.
Yeah, Comrade Mamdani, not my favorite guy. Let's turn to the one
Yeah.
big beautiful bill. Do the people know in Texas how important it was for the country that the one big beautiful bill passed?
I think we have work to do. I was in Amarillo, Texas on Friday, and as I was talking about it to various people there, including folks in the ag community, it really came home to me that this bill is so big that it's got so many different moving parts that we need to sort of break this down so that people understand we didn't just stop a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase. We didn't just extend middle-class tax cuts for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime or Social Security. There's a lot more moving parts in there that I think people will be very excited about, particularly small businesses that are going to be able to use the expensing and bonus depreciation provisions in the bill to buy new equipment, which will enhance their productivity, which will help grow the economy and create more jobs. I think we've got work to do, which is why I'm anxious to break this logjam on nominations and get back home and talk about this to folks on the ground.
Do you think there needs to be a rules change, Senator, to move the nominees? Because this is silly when you can't get unanimous consent on anyone, and it's been routine to get unanimous consent on scores of people in past administrations.
It's absolutely unacceptable, and President Trump is right to be frustrated and demand action. But this is not only a disservice to the American people who are denied the service of these important members of the Trump administration, particularly ambassadors serving in places around the world where we lack diplomatic presence because our ambassadors are waiting to be confirmed. I think there are roughly 30 of them right now. But it's clearly unfair to President Trump, who now 6 months into his term is still awaiting a lot of his team. And it's unfair to the individuals who have maybe sold their business, quit their job, gone through the vetting process, and are now just simply waiting around, twiddling their thumbs, waiting to serve. We don't want to discourage good people from being willing to serve. So this is unacceptable by any way you look at it. And I believe we do need a rules change to prevent this kind of obstruction.
Now, Senator, let's turn to politics a little bit. My friend Susan Collins is going to have a race in Maine, maybe if anyone runs against her. Certainly there's going to be a race in North Carolina. I think every other seat that's held by a Republican is safe, provided that you're the nominee. In Texas, I've already endorsed you. How's your primary race looking?
Well, it's looking, I think, very positive. If I didn't think I could win, I wouldn't run. But we know that there are really two things that I need to do. One is to remind people of my support for President Trump and his agenda. That's why we're letting people know that I voted with the president 99.2% of the time. I think that's correcting a lot of misimpressions and disinformation about me and my support for President Trump. And then secondly, we need to remind people who my opponent is. And the Attorney General, I don't believe, is fit to serve in this office. He's not motivated by his desire to serve people in the Senate, but he is running, and we need to remind people who he is and why he's unfit to serve. I've been referring people to a website, crookedken.com, or you can just look at the Dallas Morning News editorial today, where they said that he should pack his bags and move on. But the biggest problem, I believe, for President Trump, and I've told him this, is that if the Attorney General is the nominee, we are likely to lose the Texas Senate seat because of the vulnerabilities that Mr. Paxton has. And that's
well,
not
I've
good
endorsed you because you're a solid, great conservative and have been for as long as I've been doing this, and vote the right way and get those nominees moving. But I also know Ken Paxton's going to lose that seat, and I want Texas Republicans to understand they got to vote for John Cornyn. Senator, good to see you as always. Keep coming back. I always appreciate the updates. Don't go anywhere, America. I'll be right back on the Hugh Hewitt Show.